Yo. So I watched Ready Player One, and that was the worst RPG experience I think I've ever had. It's crazy. I don't know. I don't play a lot of RPGs, but that was just not a good one. That was not good. That was not good. Uh, kind of gave away pretty much my review of the movie. That's it. Boom. It was bad. But no, it starts off good. It had a lot going for it in the beginning. Like it was really set up. Like I was really like enthralled. Like so, basically, this movie's about this guy who creates this virtual reality video game that because so far in the future, like the world's gone to shit pretty much. And Columbus, Ohio is this up just a kid from Akron, is this upcoming city because of this game called Oasis that this guy and his partner created, and it's this virtual reality game where people go to escape reality because reality sucks. You know, shit you play a lot of video games for. And the guy dies. So now he's created like these Easter eggs in the game where if you get these eggs, then you unlock these keys that allow you to have pretty much control of the whole company and the game itself. Pretty much. And now you follow this guy, this actor, I don't know. In the game his name is Z, but in real life, I couldn't tell you what his name was because I'd rather probably not see him again. That was the most insufferable man I think I've ever seen in a movie screen. All right, that's probably worse. But that was not fun at all. There's a lot of callbacks. I don't know if they tried to like make up for the lack of personality that a lot of the characters had by using 80s music and random callbacks from various generations of gaming and whatnot. So you had your Iron Giant stuff, you had your Tron, your 80s music, a lot of rock and stuff like that. And it's kind of cheesy. Yeah, it's Saturday Night Fever at one point in time. And you're like, all right, cool. and, and I don't know. I don't know who that's for. Like audience wise, maybe you feel a little better, but it just didn't really resonate with me. And I felt like most of the stuff, like I liked Iron Giant. I like a lot of the things that it had going for it. Like callback wise, it just didn't make up for the lack of personality that the main guy especially had. So, anywho, continue on. This guy they're trying to get these Easter eggs to control this business, and the main opposition to this is the IOI is what they're called, or something like that. And their the whole goal they have like the most money to spend, and they have a lot of stake in the company itself, but they're pretty much cheating to try and get all these Easter eggs and stuff like that in comparison to everybody else, and they have access to all these resources because they have access to pretty much the majority of the game. So they're trying to find it, and they're hiring random various people to keep trying at it. Because if you die in the game, you just lose everything that you bought, all the money you put into it. It just boop, that's gone. And then for a lot of people that they can't handle losing that much of an investment, and type of stuff, gaming, intense gamer moments, things like that happens. So the first like Easter egg they have to find, they have to go through this race. So they do this race, and everyone's like, no one's passed it. This is the first Easter egg. No one's passed it, and eventually everybody gave up on it. And very select few people, besides this company, and very random like the select few like hunters, gunthers, I think that's what they're called, or something like that. That they're looking up for the Easter eggs that this guy hid in the game. After he died, for you to get control of this company and the business. So this guy's looking for it. So he's going through it, and at the start of this race, we get introduced to Artemis, who's like this badass player who's really good at the game or something like that. And she's trying to get her hands on it. And wink, wink, nudge, nudge, this guy's got this big, like, fanboy crush on her, whatever. He's like, I watched her Twitch stream and done all this. He's pretty much, that gamer dude. You're just like, this guy's kind of lame. Like, he's kind of a lame-o. Like, I can't get behind him at all. Like, you're just a weirdo, bro. So, anywho, he has his friend H, who is like a big modder in the game scene, and he has like sort of a clan. He has a bunch of friends that he is just like links up with and partners up with when he needs their help and whatnot, or he needs information or something like that. So he links up with them every so often. So H is one of his biggest, closest friends in the game, right? So he takes the girl to see H, and he's like trying to impress this girl, trying to make conversations by showing her all the things that H told him not to touch, basically. And you're just like, okay, this guy's just flexing stuff that he didn't even have, but whatever. He's look, he's awkward with girls. That trope. Whatever. It's tiring. And it's like, it's not really that great. But you're watching him, and he's just stuttering and stammering all over, all head over heels for this girl. So finally, eventually, he goes back to the tapes, hits the Carfax, runs back, because all these Easter eggs are based around the dude who died's like life, his history, the things he was interested in, his favorite movies, all this stuff, all these things that happen are significant to the guy that you're supposed to use to apply to get to these Easter eggs. So the first one was the for this race. He's like, oh, okay, I gotta. He figures it out for the race. You got to go backward at the start. So he figures that out. And then next thing you know, he's put on the map. Everyone's like, yo, he did it. Yo, he did it. So he tells his friends, and his friends get put on, and they figure it out. And then everybody else eventually finds out too as well. So they're playing this catch up. And then meanwhile, the Evil Corporation, the IOI, they find out about him. And they're like, oh, hey, they have the ability to like pull him in game into like, pull his in game avatar into like the evil boss's like office, pretty much. And he's like, oh, we'll offer you like $10 million, whatever, $25 million if you just, come work for us, do your thing with us, and we'll offer you a lot of money. So and he's kind of tempted because his like whole backstory is he lost his parent. The main guy, Z, he lost his parent in real life. He lost his parents, and he had to go live with his aunt and her bum ass boyfriend, who's like using like all the money for like where she's living. And he's like, they live in like these weird little ghettos, pretty much. And this guy played, and Z's over here playing the game in some trailer in a junkyard. And you're like, all right, okay, this doesn't make him any more endearing, but try to make him endearing. You kind of feel for the guy a little bit. And then he starts talking. Then you stop. You're just like, yo, if he did that less, if he talked a lot less, movie would have been more enjoyable. The more he talked, the more contrived, and it's just like, yo, shut this guy, you'll kill this guy, get him out of here. Just stop it. That's how I felt for it. So anywho, they're moving forward. He's like, nah. Eventually he doesn't take the offer because then the movie would be over, obviously, right? Doesn't take the offer, and he's like, nah, I'm gonna do it on my own. I'm not gonna do that. I don't clan up. Sorry, I don't clan up. That's his whole thing throughout the whole movie. He's like, I don't clan up, whatever. So as he's moving forward, as this stuff is like moving on, as it gets more intense, they hire this guy, this like hunter in the game, to go after him and trying to find out information on him. So he's like, so they're at this dance with Artemis is there. He meets up with her, and she's being all nice to him now. Before she's like kind of like, yeah, whatever. Now he's like successful, and she's like, all right, you cool, whatever, you a real one. So she's rolling with him, and he's like, this man, it's like, I'm in love with you. And he starts telling her his real name. And I'm just like, what? What? I feel like if you're a nerdy person or whatever, if you're into this stuff, the last thing you give away is your secret identity. It never works for anybody. It never works for Batman, never works for Superman, never works for anybody, because people always use who you are against you. So you should know that. You should know that. I feel like that's just the stupidest slight. I just feel like we just have a real connection. You just met this girl literally 2 days ago, and you're already giving her your government. It's just like, all right. And then right at that moment, I'm just like, that's the stupidest thing, the dumbest thing. This is the dumbest thing. And do it out of love. It never works. It never works. This is why Batman's been single for so long. It just doesn't work for him. All right. So this guy does that. She realizes, it's like, yo, what are you doing? You're stupid. So anywho, she like gets him away because Now he's got people after him. They're all chasing after him because they figured out eventually it didn't take long for them to figure out his identity and whatnot. So they go off to this secret place, and she gives her little backstory, which is pretty boring. It's very unenthusiastic. So basically, she's there because her dad was brought in for being in debt in the game. So this company, the IOI, they bring the dad in. I guess he's like originally contracted through, but because he has so much gaming debt, now he has to go to like this in-game jail where he has to like slave away and work for credits to pay it all off. And then they kept like raising his living expenses, and then this guy starves and he dies. And it's about as corny as it sounds. And that's her whole reasoning for being against it. I'm like, it would have made more sense if they just killed the guy. If they're just like, he's too important, he's too vital, get him out of here, like something like that. But they ain't even do that. This is very, it's very lame, very lame. It's a very lame story. So as this was going on, you're just watching him and her, like, they get through the second test. Then after they figure out who he is, IOI's like figures out who he is, right? And they find out like where he lives and stuff like that. And they send some drones over to his aunt and uncle spot, and they place some bombs. And they pretty much they drop these bombs off, and it blows up the whole little ghetto. I mean, a lot of people die, I'm gonna assume, because there's a big building that just fell down. So this company is evil, very simple, evil corporation with drone technology, right? Yeah, never really a lot of bad guys, right? So as they're going on, he's like, oh man, they find out who I am. Now they're on the run, right? Because now they're like in real life, these people they're getting hunted, like so now he gets picked up, and then finally he comes face to face with none other than Artemis. So she sends some guys to come pick him up, and he thinks it's the bad guys, but nope, turns out it's her. And she's part of this resistance trying to make sure IOI doesn't get it, and they're trying to figure it out first because they don't want IOI to have control of everything. This is just for a video game, right? This is just all for a video game and staying out of reality as much as possible. It's very nonsensical, right? So as the whole thing's going on, you're like, okay, this is very dumb. I was just like, this is very dumb. I was very unentertained. But I will say, for the CGI, it was good. Wasn't bad. CGI-wise, it was not terrible. I did hate his created character, Z's created character, that low-budget Wish value. It's like Ezreal from Wish. Like, nah, man, that was not... You think he'd have a better character creation, but from as lame as he is in real life, I guess it makes sense why his character was that lame in the game. I mean, man drives a DeLorean on purpose in the game. You're like, how uninspired can you be? Very, very much not. So, anywho, finally they're going through all this, and throughout the game, they meet up with H in real life, who turns out to be Lena Wraith, who's from Masters of None. Cool little sister. So she's in it, and then lo and behold, the samurai characters in the game turn out to be two little Asian kids. One's an 11-year-old boy who's pretty much just the Asian kid from Indiana Jones, and no one can tell me otherwise. They're not the same person, obviously, but they have the same shtick. We're gonna tell jokes, haha. They're gonna tell, that's pretty much it. And the other guy, he's just there to meditate and fight. That's pretty much it. Do martial arts and meditate. That's really all he does, the whole fucking movie. They don't have a lot of character development for these side characters. They're just kind of there to feed these two, Z and Artemis, as they are kind of the main people. Artemis mostly because she's the romantic interest, right? So Z is doing his thing. Eventually they finally get to like the third spot. They finally get to the third key, and they realize, oh wait, this is the third keys. This is old Atari game that they have to beat, and there's a specific thing they're supposed to do in the game that I felt like if they're like as big as like it's kind of like right there, and the fact that the evil corporation doesn't figure it out, you're like, wow, you guys are really dumb. And I gotta say, like from a villain perspective, it was guys sucked. was not good. It was not a good villain. I didn't care about him either. So realistically speaking, I gave the movie about a 1 star, 1 out of 5. I wouldn't waste my time. It was cool to look at in some aspects, like when they're in game stuff. Like some of the stuff was like okay to look at, but really as a story, it was just dumb. And the characters were there was no charisma in that movie. Everything, the dialogue felt like just no one talks like that. So like you watch this movie, like no one talks like this, and it's just very bad dialogue. And the fact that this main actor just keeps talking through everything he does, you're just like, man, if you did that less, this movie would probably be a little more enjoyable. Like the fact that he keeps trying to have some diatribe and some monologue, you're just like, yo, man, shut up. Probably doing the same thing with me now. This has been going on for a long time. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and shut up. But yeah, 1 star on that one. That was not the wave. That was not it. Always remember. Don't skip leg day though. That's very important. Squats are important. Good for your back.